and welcome to Dialogue. With strikingly human-like responses to user requests, the new conversational AI ChatGPT has wowed the world in recent months, and experts say it will change everything. So how will this chatbot change the way we think and work? Who will be the winners and losers in the new era of artificial intelligence? And what are the hidden risks behind the generative AI? To discuss these issues and more, I'm joined today by Liu Ke, Chair Professor at the Southern University of Science and Technology, Jeffrey Towson, Partner of Techmoat Consulting, and Wang Feiyue, Director of the State Key Laboratory for Management and Control of Complex System at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. That's our topic. I'm Xu Qinduo. Well, welcome to the discussion. Professor Liu, ChatGPT has set a record for the fastest growing consumer application in January when it reached 100 million active users only 2 months after its launch. In comparison, it took TikTok 9 months to reach 100 million users and Instagram 2.5 years. Professor Liu, what makes the chatbot so popular? Have you tried ChatGPT?
Yes, I tried it. I think it's just amazing, right? Especially I tried the English version. You ask any questions, I think the response is really tremendous. What my understanding is almost like assuming one human being, you read all the literature of the whole world, and also you have your own judgment, and you pick the right ones that recompose whatever it is, because any single individual you cannot read so much.
Right. Impossible.
It's impossible, right? The Chinese version, I think, is a little bit different. The Chinese version, I feel, is still not as advanced as the English one. But as time going, I believe it will get better. The best part of this one is ChatGPT itself has learning capability. So the more people use it, it's going to keep improving it. So that's the amazing part.
Jeffrey, in a recent interview, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates called ChatGPT as significant as the invention of the internet. Do you agree?
It certainly seems that way. Everyone's talking about ChatGPT, which it's stunning. I mean, it really is stunning. But on top of that, you have a whole wave of apps being built on top of this service. So in that sense, Bill Gates is probably the right person to think about. It's like ChatGPT is a new type of Windows, and everyone is starting to write software programs that run on this. So we're seeing like multiple levels of innovation taking off in every direction. There's new AI apps coming out every single day. I find a new one every 2 days that blows my mind. So yeah, you could make the analogy. This looks as big as the hype indicates.
Professor Wang, so ChatGPT and others, some people would say they are game changer in artificial intelligence. Is that the case?
Well, it's a kind of a game change and it's kind of a revolution. However, if you consider this is a real game change, you should expect another one coming very soon, and another revolution coming very soon, because there's a difference between exaggerate and the exuberant. ChatGPT has achieved great performance, but I think it's still far from a mature technology, and it's just like the computer 80 years ago, and now on your cell phone, how many such computer do you have? And I believe very soon your computer will have a lot of ChatGPT like app or digital human. So we should expect more, and we have to work hard toward that goal.
So Jeffrey, can we say 2022 or maybe 2023 is the milestone in terms of artificial intelligence, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT, it hit in November, it was a huge event, but DALL-E, which creates images, paintings, cartoons, anything you want visually, that was a couple months before. Now we've got Midjourney, which is unbelievable at creating anything visual you'd want. You can make cartoons, you can make music, you can make voices, you can put all this together and pretty much do everything that a company like Disney does, one person on a laptop. And that's the last 12 months. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what's going to happen in the next 12 months. So yeah, it's a whole suite of generative AI tools that people are really putting together. It's, yeah, it really is pretty amazing. And apparently what's coming with GPT in particular, April-ish, is going to be dramatically more powerful.
Because of that, probably, we do see fierce rivalry or competition. Professor Liu, like Google has announced its own AI chatbot called Bot, but the new chatbot obviously is not seen as a success, resulting in the drop actually of its parent company's market share. So how do you see this fierce competition or in the rivalry among US tech companies or maybe around the world?
Yeah, I think definitely all the major tech players going to join this field. The competition will be bigger and bigger. Like just like Google, that small mistakes cost them 13% of their market value. I think at this stage, Microsoft, I think still OpenAI leading the edge, but I believe like with all the other techs going to be follow up, then I think there's going to be another new playground for competition in the future. And also, I believe Chinese company like Baidu and Alibaba is also put a lot of effort in this area. So I guess at least in the Chinese version, there's a lot of room to improve. So I wish a company like Baidu and Alibaba can generate better versions in the future. Of course, I think it's really the computer said like, garbage in, garbage out, right? Whatever you read, if the internet stuff, all the Chinese information has certain like all kind of bias or whatever the reason there, then the computer, no matter how smart you are, you're not going to get the right level in the near term. But I believe as time going, it'll get better and better.
Mm-hmm.
As far as in the future, like if Baidu or Alibaba, which one will be the winner, it's very difficult to predict. But the computation power required is amazing. Just if you look at the one day, there's OpenAI, like each day costs them like 140 something million to keep improving. It's really burning the money. Like that number, I don't remember very clear, but it's amazing, right? Just all the electricity is consumed every day. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really, you need some deep pocket, some people like Microsoft put 10 billions down that keep improving, keep learning. There are a lot of smart people keep doing behind it. And I was really amazed by that. It's like a lot of examination, like they can pass the bar examination of the US. Like US takes a graduate, a BS degree, then another 3 years of law school, 3 to 4 years, then very hard working to pass the bar exam. But the ChatGPT can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like you pass the interview of Google engineer, right, which can earn like almost $200,000 salary per year. That part I was really amazed.
Okay,
right?
we'll come back to that
Take
part.
a lot of education. Take students like many years of learning and study them before you can get that kind of job, right? I mean, a lot of Chinese students in US, they won't get a job in Google, but they cannot pass the exam.
Mm-hmm.
But this it can. It's really amazing.
Okay, it sounds like Professor Liu, you are a bit, I don't know, pessimistic, or you're a bit afraid of like Chat GPT or whatever type of chatbots, somehow their ability to replace human beings in terms of maybe creating the job losses. On one hand, we celebrate the tremendous progress we are making. On the other side, some people are worried about the possible loss of jobs or possible problems created by artificial intelligence?
Yeah, the description I like is this is going to be autopilot versus co-pilot. You know, if you're flying the plane, this is going to help you fly, co-pilot. If you're a robo-taxi, okay, there's no more driver. It's autopilot, right? We can kind of go profession by profession with these tools. And, you know, programmers, no, it's not going to write code independent of programmers because you have to integrate that into something more complicated like a business. Creating short videos, creating music, it can pretty much do it without people. So yeah, it looks like it's going to hit a tremendous percentage of the population. The analogy would be, you know, this is going to do to white collar workers what equipment and machines have been doing to blue collar workers for 100 years, right? We're used to the idea of all those factory workers are being replaced with robots. Well, this is kind of the same thing, but it's white collar folks, including people like myself. So yeah, I mean, everyone needs to be prepared. The likelihood that you're not going to get hit in some degree, I wouldn't count on that. I'd count on adjusting.
Okay, speak of that, you know, Jeffrey. Like, do we have any clear idea? Because I guess you know, it takes time for different industries or different sectors to adapt or to adopt. I mean, to introduce the use of a ChatGPT type of artificial intelligence, you know, applications to their work. Or what kind of jobs probably they are more easily, I mean, being threatened by ChatGPT, let's say?
Yeah, the ones that tend to get most directly hit are creative jobs because there's not necessarily a right or a wrong, like should we treat this patient with drug A or drug B? There's a right and a wrong with consequences. But if you want to say which painting do you like better, you know, so those creative endeavors are getting hit pretty hard. So that's musicians, painters, designers, product designers, animators, copy editors, copywriters. They're all going to get hit directly. And pretty much everybody in Hollywood. Hollywood is in the content creation business. You know, cameras, film, all that. Well, generative AI is getting really good at video, and it's only been a couple months. So a lot of that creative sector, I think they're first to get hit. Second to that, then you move into things where maybe there's a right or a wrong answer, like doctor, lawyer. You have to be a little bit more careful. It's probably a bit more of a co-pilot situation. Definitely creative, I think they're first.
Professor Wang Feiyue, do you agree that probably some of our professionals, we need to be prepared, you know, to adjust to the new reality, which is challenging?
I'm very optimistic because no, it will not make us unemployed. It will create much more new jobs, easy jobs. But the reality is, like the first industrial revolution, it kind of make the labor work easier. And then the management make the labor, like you can tailor scientific management. You can count in how much time you can make you can complete a labor job, right? And this will make the automation of knowledge automation become a reality. So that it will make the intellectual job just like the physical work and easy to measure and know how much time now you can finish, just like in the labor market. So in this way, it will reduce the intellectual work to the normal physical work. And this is revolution. And it will create a lot of new jobs. Just like a computer, how many new jobs computer has created? Computer eliminated the job of computer. Remember, computer used to be that female work, do the calculation, right? And such work is no longer exist. But you have a software engineer, you have architecture engineer, and you have so many people doing software industry, right? So don't worry. You're going to
Okay.
have a lot more new jobs come out from this.
Well, there are some also related questions or challenges, Jeffrey. Like there are people are concerned with whether there are biases because ChatGPT is basically relying on what we have on the internet in terms of training. For example, it cheers for Biden, not Trump, and it refuses to speak about the benefits of fossil fuels. How do you interpret this kind of interesting, but also, I guess people are concerned with this kind of these responses, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen like quite a few examples of pretty clear bias. You can do the same sort of Biden-Trump question in Brazil. If you ask about President Lula versus President Bolsonaro, it won't answer Bolsonaro, but it will for Lula. But we can find little things like this all over. So, I mean, the big question at the heart of this is an alternative form of information retrieval, as opposed to search. If you search for something, it gives you 10 answers. Here's all the links. ChatGPT doesn't give you 10 options. It gives you one answer. Well, who determines the one answer? Is the AI doing it statistically? Probably. Has it have put filters on top of it? That's clearly been happening. So yeah, this is going to be a tremendously political and cultural question. Who determines how the one answer is set? And we'll see each country sort of work through that question in its own way. US will have a certain way of approaching that, China another. But yeah, it's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, interesting. Professor Wang, obviously, I mean, if you put, for example, different countries, if they insist, if they insist on their values, for example, countries have different values, or they stress on different values. So their type of ChatGPT could be different.
This is mainly about question and answer, and like even the English and the Chinese have the different processing, and the Chinese is much difficult than the English. So the bottom line is depending on material, raw material. Where's your knowledge graph come from? Where your database come from? So it will change the whole process of knowledge automation. Just like when as I always told my student, very soon, write a paper will be like farmer plant rice, plant all kind of food. It will be fit into the GDP, ChatGPT like technology. So we have to think about the whole ecosystem. And this is the revolution. Every country have to move on from physical industrial automation to intellectual knowledge automation. So there's a long way to go. And of course, this discussion is useful, but we have to think the big wave is going to come in. And AlphaGo, ChatGPT, is just a few waves before the big one. We have to be prepared for the big one to come. At least looking forward for knowledge automation for all the field, all the industries.
Professor Wang, okay, a follow-up question would be like, what about we human being? So we learn, word by word. We learn to memorize a lot of stuff. We learn to analyze and practice. But with chatbots, everything is just so. How will it affect our learning process in the future?
It will hugely impact our learning capacity and the process, and a huge impact to our educational system. The way we learn our physics, chemistry, mathematics, when we have a technology like ChatGPT, right? It reduced such learning to just like 100 years ago, when our grandfather generation asked us to recite the whole classical from 论语 to 三字经 to whatever. If you cannot recite them, right, you are not intellectual.
Right.
And now you have to learn the way the university ask, the college ask you to learn the physics, chemistry, and so on. No, that's not right. You have a Wikipedia. You have a ChatGPT. No more. And in the next stage, imagination become what? Become the productivity. So we have, as what, who said, Norman Chomsky said, oh, this is a huge cheating, and take the chance of student to thinking and whatever. No, that's not right. This is the new revolution, and this will improve our learning process. We no longer need to remember so many chemistry, physics, mathematical knowledge. No more. It should not be our learning process. It's some common sense. You should know.
It seems like,
and you don't need to know that well.
it seems.
If you need, just ask ChatGPT.
Right, right. So Jeffrey, do you agree? It seems the impact on our learning process or on the education would be huge.
Yeah, it's definitely transformative. I worry about it quite a bit because, I mean, one thing we can see is when there is a new tool like autonomous driving, spell check, calculators at the supermarket checkout, the skills of the human degrade very quickly. Your average checkout person at a supermarket can't add those numbers together in their head anymore. They have to use the computer. People who use autonomous driving lose their driving skills. So as we rely on this more and more to do writing, which I think ChatGPT is obviously the best at right now, are we going to lose our ability to write? And at least for me, what I worry about is I don't know how to do deep advanced thinking without writing. I can think at a certain level in my mind as I'm talking, but to go deeper, I have to write it out in detail. And that may be a major generational divide where the humans that come after us, they just do advanced thinking in a different format because they're not writing like previous generations have. And I think for a lot of people, they will probably lose their ability to do deep thinking. I think that will disappear for a certain percentage of the population. I don't know. I worry about it.
You're worried about that.
I want to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to say something. Don't worry. We don't have fitting room before, right? And now fitting room, the exercise become industry. We are going to have a fitting room for your brain, for your thinking, for your cognitive capacity. It will become an industry. So don't worry. And this is why I'm optimistic.
Okay. Professor Liu, something to worry here, really, because you are a professor. You do lectures in a university. And, there are growing fears that generative AI could be used maliciously to spread disinformation as well as used by students to cheat. Do we have proper guardrails, up to now to help us determine fact from fiction or, AI or chatbots helped essays from or human produced essays there?
Well, I think recently in this topic, right, Professor Qian Yi of Tsinghua University write a very good paper. It's basically saying as those technology, as ChatGPT develops, the current system is forced China to reform its education system because you do not have any advantages. Because historically, we Chinese people are very good at learning, memorize, and keep doing all these tests, pass, whatever. But I think the basic thing is no matter what develops the human being, the logic is very important. The creativity, the heart, that part, I think still need, like the human being still going to train. I mean, as big as computer, let me tell you another way, right? Now, like if you look at the human brain, right? All we need is such small, like eat so little food, you can have such huge memory, such huge calculation capability. But for the computer have the similar capability of human, you almost need a coal power plants to power it. So that's still the difference, right? The efficiency part. So I'm not thinking like, okay, all those the AI going to replace all the jobs. Of course, for those routine jobs, for those things, all you need to memorize something, you can do something, those going to be replaced. Just like any industrial revolution, any technology revolution, certain people are going to lose job, but meanwhile, you create a lot of jobs for those high-paid professionals there.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole education system has to keep watch this closely, and also, I mean, it's so new, right? Like now, everybody has a lot of imagination, but don't worry, just let's try to become, try to learn, try to adapt. Then I think people collectively still going to come up with a system. Then let's discuss what students still need to be learned, what actually they don't need to waste so much time to memorize. I mean, the logic thinking, always education is basically tell people critical thinking, logic thinking, innovation, and of course, as a human being, right, you need integrity, you need love, all that kind of stuff there. So there's always going to be this part. It's going to be always there. It's going to be forever. But of course, right, if you just based on good memory or you just memorize a lot of stuff, then you try to pass some tests, they get a job. That kind of job, I think, probably going to be eliminated by AI in the future.
So let's try to be optimistic on that part. Well, with that, we conclude today's show. Many thanks to our guests. You can also find us on the CGTN app on YouTube. I'm Qin Zhuo. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.